It all started subtly, almost imperceptibly. A whisper of unease, a flicker in the periphery of my understanding. I remember the day vividly. The air was thick, heavy, pressing in. I was in my armchair, the old wood groaning. She was across the room, humming a sweet, innocent tune that inexplicably made the hair on my arms stand on end. I had always trusted her, believed her words without question. But that day, a tiny, insidious seed of doubt began to sprout in my mind. It was a feeling I couldn't quite place, like a note played just slightly off key. Something was wrong. This unsettling notion, this quiet dread, was familiar to many who had stumbled upon the Something Was Wrong podcast, a show that dared to peel back layers of normal lives to expose the rot beneath. I hadn't realized it then, but I was living my own episode, a chilling narrative unfolding. My initial searches for answers, for any explanation for this growing unease, were futile. Yet, the phrase echoed in my head. She thought I'd never learn the truth. She was wrong. It felt like a dark premonition. I started noticing things, small inconsistencies, tiny fissures in the carefully constructed facade of our life. A misplaced item, a forgotten conversation, a fleeting glance holding a secret. Each incident, on its own, was easily dismissed. But strung together, they formed a disturbing tapestry, a web of deceit I was only just beginning to perceive. It was like those stories from season 23 of Something Was Wrong, the ones about the midwives at Origin's birth center, where trust was shattered and unspoken truths led to pain. Kristen and Thomas, their experiences echoing my own apprehension, spoke of medical trauma and neglect situations where individuals were misled, vital information withheld. I wasn't facing medical malpractice, but the emotional and psychological deception I felt unfolding was no less insidious. I began to question everything. Her explanations, once comforting, now sounded hollow, carefully rehearsed. Her laughter, once joyous, now seemed forced, a desperate attempt to maintain an illusion. The more I looked, the more I found. The truth, it seemed, had always been there, hidden in plain sight, camouflaged by familiarity and affection. It was a stark reminder of the podcast's recurring theme: the importance of self-advocacy, the necessity of scrutinizing every detail, especially when your gut screams something is amiss. How many times had I ignored those internal warnings? How many times had I rationalized away the little red flags, dismissing them as paranoia? The psychological concept of lying, how one lie often necessitates a chain of others to maintain the illusion, became chillingly clear. Each untruth she uttered, each diversion she created, only strengthened my resolve. The anger, a slow burning ember at first, now flared into a consuming inferno. It wasn't just about the betrayal. It was about the deliberate manipulation, the calculated effort to keep me in the dark. The respect I once held for her, the foundation of our relationship, began to crumble. The truth, even if unpleasant, is always preferable to a comforting lie. This painful lesson, so often discussed in the context of the podcast, was now my lived reality. The irony was not lost on me. While others listened to stories of deception and betrayal, I was slowly uncovering my own. The dark atmosphere that had descended upon my life thickened, each revelation a fresh layer of suffocating dread. The more she tried to hide, the more desperate her attempts became, the clearer the picture emerged. Her voice, once a soothing balm, now seemed to carry a discordant hum, a faint tremor that spoke of her inner turmoil. She believed her lies were impenetrable, her secret safe. She thought I'd never learn. But she was wrong. The moment of confrontation was inevitable, a storm gathering. I had armed myself with facts, with observations, with the undeniable weight of her deceit. And as I looked into her eyes, those same eyes that had once held so much warmth, I saw not defiance, but a flicker of fear, a recognition that her carefully constructed world was about to collapse. The chilling twist, the lingering impression, was not just the revelation of her lies, but the profound shift within myself. The person I had been, The trusting, unsuspecting individual had vanished, replaced by someone acutely aware of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of the most ordinary relationships. The world, once painted in bright colors, now had an unnerving undertone. A constant reminder that truth is often fragile and elusive, and that sometimes, the scariest monsters wear the most familiar faces. And as I confronted her, the words that had haunted me for so long finally found their voice. You thought I'd never learn the truth. You were wrong.